Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, the UUP, and the GLD. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the daily SPY. You know what? We're going to go to the 10-minute first just to show you a little intraday action. So we had a little bit of sell-off at the end of the day Friday. No big deal. We had, 20 million on the day or some stupid amount. And here we go, right to the 200, bounce, comes right back in, and right to the 50 MA in this trend line on the daily. Bounce right up, little bullish consolidation. Rest of the day we float up, possibly a short squeeze in, little algos taking over. And Gramba, I'm sure, lending a helping hand at the 80 million light volume bloat. So going to the daily, again, if you're bullish, you need to get back above the 20 MA, back above this big inside breakdown bar, fill the gap, get to the 240.32 area, a lot of resistance up here, and then push. I want to see more volume than this light volume stuff, where we're just floating up, everything's great, news is coming out, and they just keep it going in the no participation rally. So just be aware of that. But if you break up, you can have a 242 area of resistance, and you have the 250, 252, 44 area of resistance. If we go that high, that's some good resistance up in there. Again, we're still a little bit bearish with this setup here. So let's see, take it each day. Let's see what the next 4 days bring us in these markets. If you're bearish, you need to stay below the 20 MA and start coming in. Got to get below this 50 MA and this trend line. Once we do that, then we'll probably retest these lows, and then there's some gaps to fill, down in here, down in there. Big one at 223.53, and then ultimately to 200 MA. As they're floating this thing, the 200 MA is getting closer. That's going to be more support, guys. So it hits that, it will take off in there. But then you have another area of gap fill down here around 220. Again, nothing wrong with these markets, still above the MAs here other than the 20. So let's see what this thing gives us in the next couple days. The IWM. Light volume again. It wasn't bad. It was lighter last week, but we did come in a little bit. But again, same pattern. Nice down, retrace back up to the inside bar, and boom, right back down. This one did close below the 20 and the 50 MA. A little bit weaker on the day. We were down a little over 1%. But again, doesn't mean it won't click over and go straight up. We'll have to see more proof on this chart to see if it is going to follow through to the downside, or do we just chop around now and see which way this thing goes. We were back above this trend line. Now we're back below it. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this to see what actually happens in the next week or next 4 days. Each day gives us a new piece of the puzzle, guys. So let's see if we close down in here tomorrow, if we go shoot right back up and retest the high of the bar, the pivots, and then go for the 140.86. If we can get above there, you're probably looking at 145 to 150 if this thing really goes. As I said before, the IWM has to be the leader of the Russell. If this thing starts leading the way down, eventually the markets will follow. So just keep that in mind. The Qs. The Qs, same thing. Down, retrace right to the highs. This one, though, they're holding at the highs. It did pull back a little bit, almost to the 20 MA. Before I hit it, someone came in, pushed it right back up on the light volume markets. Again, we did close below the 132.74. So let's just keep an eye on this one. Still above the MAs, still strong. Light volume, the only thing holding it up in my opinion. But if we get some selling, we want to see this thing come back down, hit these areas of support, and just keep cracking them. If you're a bull, you need to get about. You need to close somewhere up in here. Closes in there, 135 to 140, possibility. Got to watch this one day at a time. Again, light volume, holding it up, back to the highs. Let's see what happens. This is like their thing, guys. They make a new all-time high today, and that's all they're going to talk about on CNBC. How high can we go? Everyone has to get in. But you had the ones like Tesla, the Amazon, Google led the way today. Apple was a little bit positive, of course. Everything gets a little bit of a dip, guys, and they all buy it back in, or the algos take over. I think they're just getting the last of the retailers in before they sell these markets off. It's my opinion. I don't know. Might not sell off for another 6 months. Who knows? But in the meantime, I'm adding shorts across the board and getting ready for a nice pullback. So that's how I'm playing this at StockBookie. DIA, weak horse, just couldn't even retrace back up to this bar or even get back to the 20. It could be setting up possible for higher prices, but you have a slight bearish pattern here. You are holding the 382 retrace. You did come back into the trend line and to the 50 MA and get that little pop today. Again, only 9 cents down. This thing was bleeding out in the morning, and all of a sudden, it's like magic, guys. Falling, everyone's getting worried, and pop, bullish right to the end. Goes to the 200 moving average and stops. gaps. You know, had some good resistance here, but pretty amazing action here today, guys. Bleeding to, hey, we're okay. Don't worry, we got this. Let's keep conditioning the masses to think that this thing's never going down until it does. But again, bullish, you need to get back above this, the trend line, the big red bar, attack the 211.59. Then you could possibly go to the 217, 218 area. Needs to get back through here around 216. Gets through there, 220, I wouldn't rule it out. So again, one day at a time with these charts, guys. Let's see what tomorrow brings us. IYT, same thing like the IWM. This one's lagging a little bit. Came back, nice retrace, but didn't keep going. It stopped here at big resistance, which is the top of this bar, the 20 MA, and this trend line. Pretty much stopped it in its tracks. Today was a little bit weak, nothing crazy. Again, bullish, you need to get above the MAs, high pivot, fill the gap, attack to 173.88. Then you can go to 175 to 180, no problem. If it does not get through that area and just keeps chopping around down here in more of a bearish pattern, then you're easily looking at 153, 150 gap fill, and then we'll have to see how this thing sets up for pattern. Or do we come right into here and bounce right back up and have a relief rally for 3 months and sit up here and then kill the puts like they've been doing for months? It's pretty crazy, guys, what they've been doing to the puts. Again, if you do buy puts in these markets, you got to get in. You make a profit, you get the hell out. That's how it works. USO, great 5-day rally right into almost gap fill. Now we're chopping around in a bullish manner. I need another week on this thing to see if it chops around sideways, or was this just kind of a head fake with the news? Again, they're spreading news, oil about the rally. Here we go. This is the time. Just like here at the highs, this is the time. At least they're doing it down here. They're not getting everybody to buy at the highs. At least this thing could run a little bit. If it runs, fills the gap, gets back up into this area, 1140 to 1160. We'll be adding more shorts to these positions. We were short oil here. We did cover down in this area, pop back up. We have quarter positions now, but I have no problem adding them if we go back to here. We're still in the money on these positions pretty good. We'll have to see what happens. I still think lower prices to come, so I'm not getting too cute. But if they end up, bringing this one a little higher just because, then we'll be looking at this area here. But again, nothing wrong with oil. You had a nice retrace up. We're waiting for pattern to see which way this thing can possibly go. The UUP, great bounce here off this area. You had the gap fill. They saved it, brought it right back up. A little choppy right in this area with the red candle, but overall, nice big push back into resistance. 2 days sideways. Let's wait for pattern on this one to see which way this thing can go. But again, good resistance right here. You'd expect to pull back unless they gap it up over it and continue it going. So watch for the gap up and go, or gap and go if you want to call it that. If it can't get above this area, it should come right back down. Still think it might hit the 200 moving average. And if it does hit that, pass through it, you're looking at $25.16 to $25 area. Possibility. Again, one day at a time, guys. This one can go either way, basically, at this point. We had a nice retrace. Let's wait for pattern, see how it sets up. The GLD. GLD, again, nice pullback off a great resistance. Pushes right back into the big resistance again. We have resistance there and on the weekly. You'd have to expect to pull back in here. You have the 50 and the 50 and the 200 moving average here. You have the 200 on the daily chart. Gotta expect this thing. For this thing just to rip through, we might have some problems going on. But boom, comes back, tries it again. It might even come back one more time, and then boom, take off from there. I'm still expecting 125 to 132 area up in here. If it comes up in there, we'll see how it reacts. You might get a short-term pullback if it gets that high. But right now, we're still inside this bar coming in. Still slightly bearish, but you're starting to have a micro bullish pattern here. We need to get above the 120 area. And then possibly this thing can go higher. Again, just got to wait and see what this thing gives us. Right now, we do have some choppy, sloppy, bullish pattern here, but we're into big overhead resistance. It's going to have to consolidate for a little longer, or maybe they get some news and we gap above and get going here. So keep track on this one. Nothing wrong with this as long as we're above the MAs here. I'd still love to get above the 200. We get above that, I think this thing's going to take off. And let's go over one more, the Jnug. I've been getting emails about this one, about the 20 MA, and boom, we're back above the 20 MA, guys. So we're still back in business on the Jnug. Gold was only up 63 cents, and this one was taking off pretty good. So as long as we're above the moving average, which we did today, it doesn't mean it might come down. But up, sideways. This is slightly bullish pattern starting to play out basically. We talked about these lows. As long as we're staying above this trend line and this low pivot, we're okay. We get below that, we're most likely going to come down here, fill the gap, and then double bottom at 383. So, but as long as we stay buoyant, stay above the moving averages, next target, we got to get above this area here and above this area here at the 50 MA. We do that, then this thing could be possibly off to the races. So right now, though, guys, nothing wrong. It is setting up slightly in a bearish pattern, but I like this up moving sideways here. As long as we stay above these areas, we'll be all right, and it looks like today was okay. We'll see what tomorrow brings with gold, and you know how this one works, guys, the Jnug. We can have, you know, as long as we have, you know, if we have a good, you know, push up. If you go back to the GLD, Jnug took off a little bit because look at the 10-minute. I mean, we took off right there, and then it kind of held. So Jnug held too. If we just kind of opened up and chopped around, Jnug would have probably went negative on the day. But since we got that big push up right off the bat, that's what we're looking for tomorrow. If we keep getting those pushes up, Jnug should follow, and the people in there that are bullish should have no problem, you know, making some money in this one. Again, if you know, if you're down from the $5 area down in here, oops, let me go to the daily. You know, down in the 525, you know, it comes in and you're still holding on, you know, gosh, you know, you get a nice pop-up, pull something off the table. You know, there's no problem with taking profits, guys. I mean, this thing could possibly move higher, but if it gets into the $8, $8.50 area, you know, pull something off, especially if you're in for $5. Come on, just please do that, you know, and if it pulls back, do it again. Just keep, you know, rinsing and repeating, guys. So, all right. Well, hey, thanks for coming and watching my videos. I really do appreciate it. Go to my StockBookie.com site, sign up for the free membership. You'll get more videos like this, live streaming action, email alerts, a little bit of trade ideas, education, a couple other cool things we're going to come up with down the road, and we'll see how that works there. But go to the website. It's free, guys. Sign up, StockBookie.com. It's free, guys. What do you have to lose? Again, thanks again for coming, watching my videos, subscribing, all that good stuff. And we'll talk later. I'm looking to do some live stuff on during this week, so watch for the email if you're a member. And we usually come on about half hour after we send out the emails. But again, thanks for watching. God bless. See you on the charts.